time and the effort and the love to do it properly. So obviously we all know the vote. But what like a lot of people watching this might know Alton as the very responsible. They probably only know you in shirt and tie. The big responsible, get the kids out of problems, talk to the authority figures, respect them. But we obviously I know Alton on the level. And there was once a time. One thing I like about Alton as well. He could have been all bougie and then moved out of the hood and everything. But something about Brixton has kept him there. Even though Brixton is rapidly changing, Alton represents that old Brixton, which I always, I've painted that subject before. Old Brixton in a new gentrified area, like on an island. And Alton and his family are definitely an island of the old Brixton in the new Brixton. So I kind of had to get that, that kind of bad boy, that kind of rude boy, because you're still a rude boy, it's just not up to badness now, but that attitude never goes. So, I don't want people to get it twisted, that people just need to know that this brother is still there in the basement somewhere. And you don't, but he uses this energy, to obviously help people. So I just, that was a little throwback. That was actually something personal to me that I thought I need to capture this guy in that kind of street glory. Not that we just respect the streets, but we got to understand that that's where a lot of us come from. You can't abandon it, And some people, like myself, I've moved out of the hood. I live in St. John's Wood. I'm not living bougie, but I'm living in a bougie area. But there's some people that just said, nope, you won't move me. And Alton's one of those. So this is why we got this, And I've actually, you might not be able to see it on the camera, but I've got it in it in gold ink. And they made the diamonds glisten. So at a certain angle, the chain and the ice, they all glisten. They just let you know that this is a bad boy of English, of black British excellence. And, being in this exhibition, which is kind of what it's about. It's about the black urban excellence. In the creative level. Yeah. So Skibber there. It's on the same vein. You look at Skibber's portrait. You look at Alton's. You look at Michael Obama, singer there, what I mean? Black excellence, We've got Black Jesus by my man Chris Constable, so that's what we're dealing with. And this is what we're dealing with right here. So obviously the pilgrimage to Ethiopia, to the church there. Yeah. So I just, that's what kind of started all of this off, because Alton sent me some pictures of him. Obviously, I knew that it was important to him. Some that is, I kind of removed him from it. He was sitting on the steps here. Yeah. But that image was, for me, was just so powerful, because I know Alton, big Alton. And then you're sitting on those holy steps and you seem so small but so grateful. So that kind of, I don't know how to explain it. It's an artist's way of seeing things. It was a brilliant visual. So that had to obviously feature prominently. And then on the inside, we got one of the apostles, which again is deep for me, because these apostles, these are like the earliest depictions of the apostles. This is before, the Northern Italian version was apparent. These images were up in the churches before those, before we knew what Christ looks like, how we, blonde hair and blue eyes. Christ kind of, they painted Christ like that, similar to this. And they look like that. The Ethiopians look like that today. And what I like about this is the halo here, and the whole appearance of the brother. It makes it look like, the Rastafarians, who are obviously have a deep connection with Ethiopia. So that's just something I noticed late.
I love that.
Yeah, and I had to give him a golden halo, just iron cross, a silver cross, and a bronze ring, just to show the importance, the humble, the stability, the power, and the elemental forces that are at play. Over here now, we have, as any of you that are into art and know anything about black art, especially in African Americans, like to do a lot of diagrams and geography-based art. Because the diaspora is so spread, just because of our history, the transatlantic, you know, and even before then, you know, like we were all over that, you know, and obviously us as black people being the original man, we've had to take trails, you know, at least we took that trail, that journey voluntarily, but it just shows like, you know, being the original man, you know, not being superior, we're not superior because we're the originals, it's just, you know, something that's scientific, you know, you don't even have to be strict, if it's scientific,
Factual.
then it's a factual thing. Lucy's the oldest, you know,
They're
right
found.
in the Rift Valley where this church is.
The oldest
So,
they've
yeah,
found,
the cradle of civilization, and that has obviously been documented. You know, Mansa Musa and his old pilgrimage to, you know, all of that. So this is, you know, and going back to Alton being.
Funny enough, also Kenya as well has got the early.
Yeah, exactly.
As well.
So that whole East London, that east, you know, that Great Rift Valley is deep for you know. I bet you that's where Eden is at, you know. So so over here I actually put, you know, Brixton basically, the main areas of Brixton, including the areas where Alton that were important to him, Herne Hill, Tulse Hill, and then obviously Bricky itself, Loughborough, and this is actually taken from a train map of Brixton. I actually put in a train map of Brixton and something like this came up. So I thought that, yeah, that actually would sum up him and his family, you know, die hard, Brixtonite, solid, you know what I mean? Moving over here, we've got the Rise Academy. So obviously, congratulations on your Ofsted report. I can see that was a very, man was proud of that. And it's deserved, because obviously I've been to the school. I've seen, you know, and it's an incredible thing that you guys are doing there. You know, I've seen the challenges that you guys have had. You know, I can't even imagine the challenges, the bureaucracy, you know, the forces that probably want you guys to shut, but in defiance just remain open, expanding, and now being recognised by Ofsted. And again, Alton, you're a humble man. But I can see that was exciting to you. It's not really, you know, usually Alton's stoic, you know, apart from when he's supporting you, then he's overjoyed. But when it's about himself, always stoic. But on this occasion, very, proud, and, you know, put a post about it. So you know that was a big thing. So I had the Rise Academy, the logo, and at first I had it just what's it called, but I'm like, yeah, it's a phoenix, but I need to give it something that makes it, you know, this is not just a phoenix, this is like a phoenix eagle, a grand phoenix. I had to give it a bit more luster, a bit more allurism. So that's when I've given it the some of the oil pastels, the gold oil pastel tips, just to highlight, you know, the strength of the Phoenix, the strength of the team, and how much it's spread across, how much it spreads itself. Because this is only the beginning, you know. Soon, you know, we might have to do an A0 thing where we do a whole bird, life size, because bigger things to do. We only saw it. And that ties into the book. So whenever I do any educator, I've painted a few educators. I've got Nadia over there, who's a headmistress, a colleague, you know, similar walk of life, and I've got the same thing here. So when we have educators, black educators, that are dealing with either tough situations or the youth, I always like to put an apple there. And especially when I've witnessed them in full flight of what they do. I've seen how the kids respect you at your school, how they, as you said, I think you said to me once that these kids have never encountered any responsible adult. Every adult that they've come across.
Some of them, yeah.
Some of them have like, you know, and they're dying. They're desperate for that. And I see not just you, but I see how all the support staff and all the counsellors. And let me just get that out of the way. I just see how all the kids look up to you and they revere you, and so that's why I have the apple there. So it's a teacher's pet thing, just going back to that kind of thing that we all know. So yeah, so the book is like, you know, the spreading of wisdom and knowledge onto the next, and then the apple is like, you know, and then I just thought, you know, it's a bit holy, the work that you do. So I thought I'd put an old school style halo. You know, a lot of people know the halos to be the ring around the head, and yeah, that's all good. But as my man Chris did over there, it's a flame, you know, or if you want it more accurately described, it's usually a flame over the head to anoint, you know, to show how anointed you are. And I just think it's, you know, it's a holy mission what you guys are doing. I'm not very religious. But
The flame represents the Holy Spirit as well, the power coming down.
there you go.
Yeah,
So,
so
the Holy Spirit, I think it's very
Fire.
spiritual what you're doing, and it's almost, you know, like I said, it's almost like almost a holy mission.
fire over the head. I love it.
Yeah. So, and then right at the end here now, you know, like as I was finishing up the portrait and I was letting out and know that it's going to be ready, he told me he was in Kenya, and I'm like, okay, brother, I know you've been to Africa before. Nice to see you. And he goes, oh no, I'm buying land and I'm investing. I'm doing this. I was like, what? I was like, no, like where? Where is it? And we need, you know. And again, he was humble about it, but I had to pried out the information from him because it's incredible. You know, on top of all this stuff that I've said, it's incredible. You know, not many people. I mean, I can't invest in Africa at the moment, despite all the challenges that there are in Africa. People are actually going out there and taking you know, their hard-earned cash that they're making it, and they're actually investing it in the motherland, and that is, you know, that's almost emotional for me. So I was like, you know what, brother, you need to let me know where these spots are, Ruaka, and that's like Siamiaku. So I had to then look up about the law from the Akamba people and the Kikuyu people. Ruaku is 2 rivers, and then so how do you pronounce it?
I'm trying to pronounce it myself, but I need to read
Siaku,
it.
yeah.
I think it's Semiaku.
Yeah, that's. I got to find out that from the Akamba people that it's named after a prophetess that actually predicted the coming of colonialism. She actually saw a white snake breathing fire, and you know, and people with, I think it was people with pale faces. And so they saw, you know, and not long after that, the railroad came along and there were white people in it. So a lot of Kenyans revere her just because she predicted her prophecies came true. They might have been cryptic, but to them, there was enough there to, you know, and again, you know, it's not every day you know a white snake, why would it be, you know? And then apparently the first trains that came along, they were painted white, and they obviously were bellowing steam, like you know, and they obviously use coal. So I thought that was, you know, like with everything in Africa, deep connection. So, but that had to be acknowledged, you know. So this is like
First piece of land I bought was there.
Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So a tribute to his endeavors in Africa.
And the second piece is Ruaka.
Yeah, so Ruaka here is the 2 rivers that we got here, and then the first one, Siaku, we're gonna get the name right, is represented in this goddess and the snake. The prophetess, sorry, and the snake that she said, which was coming out of a river. That's how she envisaged it. And then I know that Alton's into Garveyism. You know that's quite, you know, I'm pretty much into Garveyist as well. Pan-Africanism, people should have some kind of self-determination, even though we're all spread out in the diaspora.
Just unity in Africa, just unity of all Africans.
Yeah.
That's the thing I promote. Yeah,
I think that's obviously that it's not a secret. That's what's missing. And you know, there are, you know, I could be here all day talking about the problems, but I do know that solutions come in the form of the actions that Alton's taking. We need people that are going to be honest, that are going to actually genuinely invest in a place, you know, with the love and with the mission to try and make it work. That's not necessarily what's going on, but I know that that's what Marcus Garvey was into. He was like, we shouldn't have to rely on others. Handouts and all of that is all, you know, is all good, but what we need to do is generate our own wealth, our own economy. It doesn't have to be based on any kind of model that exist anywhere else. We have had our own models, and we can find a way. And unfortunately, that gets blocked all the time. But the dream is still alive.
Yeah.
And so I had the colours there to just as a tribute to. I know that you're a study of Garveyism, and so it needs to be on there. So. Yeah, I'm really, really proud of this. I love the embellishments that I've put on there. And like I say, if you hold it at a certain angle, it just shines. Certain things shine. The halo shines, the cross shines, the chain definitely shines. And I even put a glint in a man's eye to make that shine too. The snake shines, you know, so yeah.
I love it,
The
bro.
edges of the flame there, they shine too, so. Very proud.
Thank you for putting in so much time and thought to this. All of your art is filled with so much reflection and thought and
respect.
symbolism. And I'm blessed for you to just take me as one of your projects to produce this.
I mean, again, like I say, although it was like a year in the making, the execution it was pretty easy because once I know, respect, and love a brother, then yeah, I can just. I suppose it's just really the little details, you know, because you want everything. The church was pretty hard to do just because I wanted it to have, you know, getting all these rough bits are not easy, especially like they were tedious. Doing the overall structure was easy, but then when you're adding the detail, you're going back to the reference, then you're trying to make it look like how
the way you want to express it as well as capture it.
Yeah, so that was probably the hardest bit, and then. Because initially I had the prophet on that side, you know, but although I wanted you guys to be looking the same way, I really wanted him to, I really thought to myself, no, he needs to be behind because you are backed by the prophets, bro. I think that you're on, as I said, with the school and everything and your mission with those kids. It is a bit of a holy journey.
All of that is behind me. All of
exactly.
the imagery, spirituality, spiritual symbolism, the power.
Exactly.
Black
all of
history,
that is, you know, it's a battery. It's a battery behind your back.
It's driving.
It's power, you know, it's power.
Yeah.
It's rear wheel drive, spiritual rear wheel drive. So I thought that would be more important, you know, to show that, and it's not like, you know, you're looking obviously towards the future, towards something that you can help. And they're looking at you to make sure that you've got everything that you need, you know, and the Rise Academy and whoever the beneficiaries of Sheep, you know, I'm over here as well, you know, and I think that's what that kind of represents, and I hope that I've kind of captured that.
Blessings.
I'm very proud of it.
So we're here. Just want to finish on a note where
Yep.
just gonna show this.
And a handshake.
handshake.
Even though it's left-handed, but yeah.
Bless you, man.
No, enough respect. I really enjoyed doing this. Bang. Yes.
Lovely.
I would